This is part 2 of the Pathway 3 Unit 1 test review. All right, so in part 1, we did the first page of the test review, so now we're starting with number 17. Nails cost 13 cents per pound and screws cost 21 cents per pound. Michelle bought 1.5 pounds of nails and 3.5 pounds of screws. How much did she pay for the nails and the screws? Round to the nearest cent. Okay, so we need to know how much the nails cost. So she bought 0.13 pound, or per pound, and she bought 1.5 pounds. So I need to multiply 0.13 times 1.5. Remember, with decimals, you don't have to line up the decimal. You just ignore the decimal to the end. So 5 times 3 is 15. Carry your 1. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 1 is 6. Start with a 0. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. Okay, I'm going to add those up and get 195. I need to figure out where my decimal goes. So there are 1, 2, 3 decimal places in my problem. So 1, 2, 3 decimal places in my answer, 0.195. Okay, 1, 2, 3. All right, that was the cost of the nails. So now I need to do the cost of the screws. The screws are 21 cents per pound, and she buys 3.4 pounds. So I need to multiply these as well. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. Start with a 0. 3 times 1 is 3. 3 times 2 is 6. Add these up, 4, 11, and 7. So there's 1, 2, 3 decimal places, 1, 2, 3 decimal places. All right, I want to add these up, the nails and the screws. So I'm going to line up my decimal, 0.195 and 0.714. It gives me 9, 10, and 9. Bring down your decimal. All right, it says round to the nearest cent. So hundredths place is my cent. That's where my nearest cent would be. Since the 9 to the right of it is 5 or more, that rounds the 0 up to a 1. So I'm going to round this up to 91 cents and say that is what Michelle paid for her nails and screws. All right, on 18, it says, on Monday, the high temperature in Austin was 57.2 degrees Fahrenheit, and the high temperature in Chicago was 26 degrees Fahrenheit. How many times greater was the high temperature in Austin than the high temperature in Chicago on Monday? And they give you this hint here. So we're trying to figure out 26 times what is equal to 57.2. Well, since I don't know what I have to multiply to get this, I'm going to do the opposite to solve it. So I'm going to divide. So I'm going to divide 57.2 by 26. Okay? And there's no decimal outside of my house, so I don't need to move anything. There's no fox. There's just a rabbit. So 26 won't go into 5. But it will go into 57 2 times. So 2 times 26 would be 52. And when I subtract, I'm going to get 5. The decimal comes up and the 2 gets brought down. So 26 will go into 52 2 more times. All right, and so my final answer is going to be 2.2 times greater. On 19, Franklin read 5/7 of the pages in his 147-page book. How many pages has he read? How many pages does he have left to read? All right, so here is an important little word, of. So when you do a fraction of something, that is telling you to multiply. 5/7 of 147. So I would do 5/7 times 147 to find the number of pages he read, since he read 5/7. All right, so to multiply fractions, they need to both be fractions. So I'm going to make this over 1 so that it's a fraction. Now, I could multiply my numerators, multiply my denominators, and then divide, and that's fine if you want to do it that way. One of the shortcuts that came up in this unit is you can also cross-simplify. So I can't simplify 5 and 1, or it doesn't really help me, but I can simplify 7 and 147. So 7 is divisible by 7, and 147 is also divisible by 7. So 7 will go into 7 once. 7, if I divide this by 7 right here, then that's going to go 21 times. Okay, and then I would just multiply 5 times 21 and 1 times 1. So on bottom, I'm going to get 1. 21 times 5 is going to be 105. Okay, so that tells me he's read 105 pages. Now, let's say you didn't realize that 7 and 147 were both divisible by 7. You could still multiply. So you could still do 147 times 5. And then 4 times 5 is 20, plus 3 is 23. 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7. Okay, and so that would give you 735. And then on bottom, 7 times 1 would be 7. You would still divide. That would go once. Bring down the 3. That goes 0 times. Bring down the 5 times. So you're still going to get 105 for the pages he read. All right, we also want to know how many he has left to read. And I'll tell you on your test, there's a question like this, and it's only one question. So make sure you answer the right one. Is it the pages he read or the pages he has left to read? If the pages he has left to read, then you have to take how many he read and subtract from the total. So the total was 147. So if I subtract how many he read, okay, then he has 42 left. Okay, so he's read 105. He's got 42 pages left. On 20, Brady has 6 3/4 gallons of water. He plans on using 3/4 gallons to water his plants each day. How many days will he be able to water his plants? Okay, so I'm using this much water every day, and so I'm going to be taking away from this a little bit every day. So that's a division problem. So I need to do 6 3/4, divide it by 3/4. All right, I want to use keep, change, flip. But before I can do that, I have to make this improper. So I'm going to multiply and then add, or Texas, or whatever you do. 4 times 6 is 24, plus 3 is 27, and I keep the denominator. I'm going to keep that, change to multiply, and flip this to the reciprocal, so 4 over 3. All right, so I would like you to get used to cross simplifying, so I'm going to show it to you again. So 27 and 3 are both divisible by 3. So 27 will divide by 3. It'll go 9 times, and 3 divided by 3, it'll go 1 time. Okay, 4 and 4 are across from each other. They're both divisible by 4. So if I divide 4 by 4, I get 1. If I divide 4 by 4, I get 1. And then I just multiply what's left. So 9 times 1 is 9. 1 times 1 is 1. And that just simplifies to 9. Again, you could multiply this. You could do 27 times 4, and you could do 4 times 3, and then just divide it at the end. You should end up with the same answer. But cross simplifying becomes a lot more helpful later the more math you do, so I want to keep showing it to you. All right, 21. Anna wants to purchase 2 pairs of shoes that cost $14.95 each. How much change will Anna receive if she gives the cashier $40? All right, so she's got 2 pairs at $14.95, so I need to figure out her cost. So I'm going to multiply by 2. 10, 18, 19. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. 2 times 1 is 2. There are 2 decimals here, so 2 decimals here. So this is her cost. We want to know what her change is. So we're going to subtract that from the 40. So that would be 0. I'm going to have to borrow. So 10 minus 9 is 1. Bring down my decimal. 9 minus 9 is 0. 3 minus 2 is 1. She's going to get a total of $10.10 back in change. And I really didn't have to round this one because everything was in cents anyway. 22 says that Mr. Pappas wants to carpet a floor in his basement. The floor has an area of 482.5 square feet. If the room is 25 feet long, how wide is it? Justify your answer. Okay, so this is my width, and I'm really looking for, well, I guess this is my length. And I'm looking for the width. Okay, so I know the area. So how do you find the area of something, or of a rectangle? You multiply the length times the width. So I know that 25 times the width is equal to the area, which is 482.5. Okay, and I know we haven't talked about equations yet, but you do know how to like work backwards. So if I can't multiply times W, if I want to find what W is, I have to do the opposite, right? I have to divide by 25. So I'm going to divide 25 into 482.5. Okay, I have a decimal inside but not outside, so I don't need to move anything. So 25 won't go into 4, it'll go into 48 once. That's 23, bring down the 2. 25 will go into 232 9 times. Think about quarters. That'd be 225, and then I'm going to subtract and get 7. Bring down the 5, bring up the decimal. 25 will go into 75 3 times. Okay, so that's going to tell me that my width is 19.3. This is in feet. All right, 23. Martha plays on a volleyball team. In 3 games, she scored 2/3 of the total number of points her team scored. Her team scored 12 points in the first game, 21 points in the second game, and 18 points in the third game. What was the number of points Martha scored in these 3 games? All right, so again, here's your key kind of phrase right there. 2/3 of the total. So when you have a fraction next to that word of, it is telling you to multiply. So I'm doing 2/3 times the total, okay, times the total. Well, what's the total? That we have to find separately. So we have to add up the points that were scored in each game. So I'm going to add 12 and 21 and 18. 2 plus 1 is 3, plus 8 is 11. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. Okay, so I'm doing 2/3 of the total, which I just decided was 51. I'm multiplying fractions, so I need the 51 to be a fraction. I'm going to write it over 1. And then I'm going to pretend that I don't notice that 3 and 51 can be simplified. All right, so I'm just going to multiply. 2 times 51 is 102 over 3. 3 times 1 is 3. And then I need to simplify this, so top in, bottom out. 3 are going to 10 3 times. That gives me 1. Bring down the 2. 3 are going to 12 4 times. So how many did she score? She scored 34 points. Okay. Right, on 24, it says Cindy and Peter are pet sitting 4 cats for 6 days. They will be paid $1.50 per cat per day, and they will split the money evenly between them. Which expression should you use to find out how much each of them will make? All right, so before I look at the answers, I'm going to see if I can just decide what's going on here. So 2 people are babysitting 4 cats for 6 days, and they're paid $1.50 per cat per day. So $1.50 per cat would be $1.50 times, there are 4 cats, so times 4. Okay, but they get that every day, so per day, and there are 6 days. So then I would take what they make per cat, and I would multiply that times 6. Okay, then after I know what they make, I'm going to need to split that between them. So then I'm going to have to divide that, whatever I get from here, by 2. All right, so let's see if one of these matches this. So this is adding the 4 plus 6, so that's not right. This is multiplying 4 times 150, that's correct. Then multiplying it by 6, that's correct. But then it's multiplying by 2. So I know it's not that one because I don't want to multiply it by 2. I have to split it. All right, this is multiplying and then multiplying by 6 and then dividing by 2. It kind of looks like that one. This is multiplying and adding 6, so it can't be that one. It has to be C. All right, number 25, a rectangular floor measures 12 by 5 feet, and each custom tile that makes up the flooring is 2.5 feet. How many tiles are needed to cover the floor? All right, so if you kind of draw a picture of what's going on here, you've got a 12 by 5 room, and each square tile, you're trying to figure out how many of these will fit inside there. Each one of those is 2.5 square feet. All right, let's see. Okay, so if I want to know how many, this should actually say square feet. Okay, so then what I need to know is the area of the room, right? So that I know what the total square feet is, and then I can know how much each tile, I can divide that by how much each tile is going to cover. Okay, so 5 times 12 is how I'm going to get the square feet. So 12 times 5, you should know that, but that's 60. And then I need to divide that by what one tile covers, which is 2.5 square feet. So I'm going to divide it by 2.5. Okay, so I'm going to do keep, change, flip, but I got to make everything a fraction first. So this becomes 60 over 1. And this I'm going to make improper. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5 over 2. And now I can do keep, change, flip. So keeping that, changing to multiply, changing to the reciprocal. Okay, I want you to see cross simplification. 5 and 60 both divisible by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 60 divided by 5 is 12. And then multiply across. 12 times 2 is 24. 1 times 1 is 1. This simplifies to 24, which tells me it will take 24 tiles to cover the floor. All right, so that should be the Unit 1 test review. Make sure you study all that and be ready for your test tomorrow. I'll see you soon.